Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
What's wrong with the farmer?
He's nuts.
What's wrong with the farmer's wife?
She's nuts.
Would you film an adult movie?
Are you nuts?
All this and more on Gory Storytime.
Warning. Gory Storytime is a horror movie review show by a son and his dad who thought that letting his 5-year-old watch scary movies was acceptable. If you are offended by horror or talk about blood and gore by a child, or if you don't want horror movies from the 60s through today spoiled, then there is a remote stuck in your couch cushion next to potato chip crumbs. Use it. And of course, parental discretion is advised.
Why? You didn't use any.
Shut up and start the show.
Welcome to Gory Storytime. I'm your host, Jason.
I'm his co-host and his father, Craig. And this week, we are doing our second of 4 movies that all came out last year that we hadn't reviewed yet.
Yes.
A couple of them were right while we were in the middle of... We happened to watch them when we were in the middle of other themes.
Yeah.
And then there was... The last one we're going to do, we watched like during the
Wicked
break.
recently, yeah.
Like during the Christmas, New Year's break. But anyway, this week we're doing X. It's a movie where, well, here's the basic premise. A group of 20-somethings rent a farmhouse, kind of like, what's that thing where you pay to go to people's houses? Airbnb. Only this was in the 70s, so pre-B&B. But they rent this little house so that they could film an adult film on a farm. They do not tell the owners that that's what they're
using it for.
And then someone decides to start murdering them. That's about all. Without spoiling anything, that's about the premise.
Yeah.
I will say, hopefully it's not a Red Band trailer, because this movie, has some things that, but to show you exactly what we're talking about, let's show you a trailer.
Farmer's daughter, take one. I need to be famous, Wayne. All the best people are.
There ain't nobody else out there like you.
You know why?
Why?
Because you got that X Factor. Our days of struggling may soon be over.
Hollywood, here we go.
So this is it. Our own studio backlot.
I'm looking for a place to stay.
Oh, yes, sir.
That's one ugly son of a bitch. And my wife, Pearl, is next door. So I would appreciate a little discretion.
You don't know what we're doing, does he?
Well, it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission.
Would you like to come inside?
Much obliged.
I want to be in the movie.
Well, you can't. The story can't just change midway through.
If Daddy catches us, there's no telling what he might do.
My wife is not well. It happens after dark.
Maxine? You don't want to leave, do you?
People's eyes are gonna pop out of their damn skulls when they see this. What? Are you all right?
No.
boys found this inside.
What do you think is on it?
I see one goddamn fucked up horror picture.
Doesn't count.
All right. I mean, that pretty much
sums it up.
Says what I already said.
And more.
A little bit. Because I was trying to give away less. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's fine going into it that you know that it's the crazy old people who are the crazy old people in this movie.
Sure. Let's see. Before we get into the behind-the-scenes information,
yeah,
as our faithful few viewers know, we don't really do this for the
this
accolades.
Is fake. Oh.
We don't do this for our love of film. This is all about the money, the Benjis, the fat stacks of cash that we get paid to advertise for products. And this week, they backed up a big old Brinks truck full of... Weirdly, it was all in pennies. But it was because I said I wanted to swim in it like Scrooge McDuck. Yeah.
And paper would cut you.
Yeah. Paper cuts, no good. Dive into change. That's safer. Anyway.
Well, I much prefer the gold doubloons that he had.
Well, he didn't have doubloons. He just had gold coins.
Oh.
Doubloons are specific things that his weren't.
He's a pirate.
No, sir.
We're pirates.
Anyway, this week we got all that money for telling you about these things. Gory Storytime is brought to you by Pearl's Swimming with Alligators experience. You've heard of swimming with dolphins, even swimming with sharks, but at Pearl's Swimming with Alligators experience, you swim with, you guessed it, alligators. Fun for the whole family. It's a romantic way to spend your honeymoon, or maybe book a swim for your birthday, bar mitzvah, or retirement party. That's Pearl's Swimming with Alligators experience. We'll see you later, alligator.
Okay. I'm sold. And by The Farmer's Daughter's Joke Book. We compiled a collection of hundreds of farmer's daughter jokes, and as a bonus, there's an essay on the history of farmer's daughter jokes that really digs down deep. Coming soon, the Walked Into a Bar collection, available where any traveling salesman still roam.
All right. Now, let's get into the meat and beef of the show.
Yes, or as I like to call it, the meat and beef of the show.
This is why I try to write the jokes, because this one, that's what happens. You want to go first?
No.
Because he saw that gives him a long one, a couple from now. All right. The day after X's South by Southwest premiere, writer-director Ty West revealed during a mandatory 2-week COVID-19 quarantine in his New Zealand hotel, before production even began on this film, he wrote a prequel, Pearl. A24 saw that script and greenlit the movie even before production on X had wrapped. He asked star Maya Goth if she wanted to remain in New Zealand to film Pearl, and she accepted. The prequel was released later in 2022, and we'll be reviewing that next week. Back-to-back movie prequel. Because it's rare that they put them out in the same year.
Already filming Maxine, the sequel to this one.
Mm-hmm.
There's an adult film called The Farmer's Daughters from '76, which is infamous because it starred future acclaimed mainstream writer and actor Spalding Gray.
The title of the film refers to the X rating used by the MPAA from 1968 to 1990, which indicated a film was only suitable for an audience aged 16 and older. The idea behind the rating was, unlike other certificates, X would not be trademarked and would allow filmmakers to release their films in theaters without having to submit it to the MPAA for age certificates. Notable films were originally released with an X rating include A Clockwork Orange, Fritz the Cat, Last Tango in Paris, Midnight Cowboy, and Sweetback's Badass Song. In the 70s, the porn industry ended up exploiting the X rating's lack of trademark by releasing porn in theaters with the same rating. Eventually, X became more associated with porn, and more theaters started refusing to show the films with an X rating, forcing non-pornographic films to be censored down to an R rating. In 1990, the MPAA discontinued the X rating and replaced it with NC-17. Unlike X, NC-17 was trademarked and could not be self-applied. This meant that most theaters would not show films with the rating, resulting in censorship once again.
So dumb. In an interview, Brittany Snow talked about filming the nude scenes. I think there was a lot of confidence in terms of our characters, and a part of the nudity came from the confidence that our characters exuded. It almost felt necessary, because not only were we filming a porn, but our characters would have been so comfortable with that. Snow said the film was an exercise in me feeling confident about my body. I was pretty proud of myself.
The name of the gas station and mini-mart at the beginning of the film is a reference to Ty West's movie The Innkeepers, which was set at the Yankee Peddler Inn.
Man found in the basement is also seen in Missing Persons ad on the milk carton when Jackson takes a sip.
Several of the characters' deaths are foreshadowed in various ways. When Bobby Lynn exits the strip club, a large mural depicting a blonde woman with an alligator pulling off her bikini is seen on the building, foreshadowing her death by an alligator attack. Wayne tells RJ that people's eyes are going to pop out of their skulls when they see the adult film they've made. Wayne later dies, having prongs of a pitchfork impaled through his eye sockets, and many more. They listed like all of them, and I was like, well, I'm not going to spoil everything.
Lorraine references Psycho during a conversation with the group. Later, Jackson discovers a partially submerged car in the pond, similar to Marion Crane's car being dumped into the lake by Norman Bates.
This film is set in 1979 and makes reference to missing people on milk cartons. However, the first use of milk cartons for missing persons wasn't until 1984.
Really?
Yep.
Early in the film, within the gas station, Maxine makes reference that she wants to be famous like Linda Carter. Wayne soon calls Maxine Wonder Woman when telling her to get some Wonder Bread. Then, as he puts his items on the counter for purchase, you see he's buying a copy of the August 1979 edition of High Society with Linda Carter as Wonder Woman on the cover.
Maxine's blue eyeshadow has washed off after swimming in the lake, but it's fully reapplied as she enters the farmhouse, despite her not stopping to reapply it.
Wayne uses the term home video, which is not appropriate for adult movies in the year 1979.
True. I mean, they did actually have VCRs back then, but they were like super expensive. There wasn't enough for them to think to do that at that time. Let's see. There are no opening credits. The title doesn't even appear on screen until the very end.
Okay. When Lorraine enters the basement and turns the light on, there is a modern halogen light bulb, which is not available in 79.
I missed something. Early on, while in the gas station, Wayne says several words without his lips moving, if you pay attention. Some bad syncage.
Yeah. The film's film's title card mimics the actual X rating card used by the MPAA.
For North American releases, a trailer appears at the very end credits of X for the prequel Pearl, starring Mia Goth, with events taking place in 1918.
At the beginning of Maxine's Farmer's Daughters scene shoot in the cow barn, Bobby Lynn slams the clapperboard so softly that it's basically impossible to sync up the sound in post, rendering that take useless.
In other words, mistakes were made, because if she really had done that, it wouldn't work. All right. Not bad considering there was only 10 facts and I found 18 because I dug deeper.
You did indeed.
I don't just go to IMDb trivia because that usually has a lot of stuff because people love to put the information out there. But when there's only 10 and we try to do 10 each. So we ended up doing 9 each. That's not too bad considering.
Yeah.
Yeah. And heck, one of them I cut down.
Yeah. So, Rotten Tomatoes exists.
Yes. Why don't you explain it this time? I explain it usually.
Rotten Tomatoes is a website that collects the data of reviewers of critic reviewers of movies, and they take however many people say it's positive, and they give you the percent that is positive out of all of the reviews.
Yep. And that's where people get tripped up. They're like, Rotten Tomatoes said this movie's only this. No, they didn't.
They told you.
The critics said that.
Right. They told you what everybody else was saying.
Basically. And then, of course, they also have a section for the people to vote positive or negatively, and they give that percentage too.
Yes.
So the critics have X at
a 94%,
which is huge for a horror movie. Let's be honest.
It's very huge.
The people only have it at 75.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
It is weird.
Because most of the time, the critics, for horror and for comedy specifically, the critics go lower.
And the people go higher.
Unless there's some, like, super, like political thing that they agree with.
If there's some sort of statement in the movie, which I don't remember there being much of one in this.
They were open and free about their bodies and stuff because of what they were doing at a time when it was illegal, I guess. But, like, I don't know.
I don't know that making porn is
there's a lot of sex work
statement.
is real work stuff.
Is it?
That's a big thing, but still.
Maybe.
But it's weird that, like, it's that much higher. It's almost 20 points more than the people. And that's rare. I will say I don't necessarily agree with either number. I'm closer to one than the other, but I'll get to that when we get to that. Now, because I know we both liked this movie, what was your least favorite part? Because I always like to try to have you think of the one you hate, like, hardest to do.
I think my least favorite part is just, like, what exactly was... Okay, it's going to get into spoilers here, but what exactly was their connection?
What do you mean?
Like, Pearl and Maxine were connected somehow. Like, they very much alluded to the fact that, like, at the end of the movie, you find out Pearl was watching this thing all about Maxine.
Sure.
But, like, why? What was that?
It wasn't a connection. Basically, she was watching the news, and that was the daughter of a preacher who was on TV. That's all.
I don't know.
The confusing part to him was the fact that Pearl, the old lady, and Maxine were played by the same woman.
And then there wasn't really a connection.
No.
Which is dumb.
She was like, oh, you young people with your sexuality, one day you're going to be old and nasty like me. I'll kill you. That's basically...
One day you're going to be old. I'll stop that.
Yeah, so I'm not going to let that happen. Anyway, that's basically true.
Yeah.
My least favorite part, let me think. The thing is, I think it's just, I know that the topic lends itself to it, but some of the sexual stuff seemed overdone. It wasn't as necessary. Because you don't have, they didn't have to show as many shots being filmed for the porn part. You know what I mean?
They did, because then you wouldn't be able to have the special feature of just the porn. That's not real porn.
Right. Well, no. My point is, like, it felt weird watching this with my son because it was almost like watching porn for a little bit. And, so while we'll end up recommending this movie, you're going to want to be careful who you watch it with, only because you're going to feel awkward at times. And I was hoping up and down that your fiance wouldn't walk in the room because it would make me feel even more awkward.
Her too, by the way. She doesn't like when we watch things that have anything to do with sex. Like, if somebody says the word sex, she's like, well, this is porn. Why are you watching it?
She watches a lot of horror with us, and there's always boobies. But let's be honest. Those are good.
Boobies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy them. Anyway, that's not really the
10
point.
10 out of 10. Would recommend.
Yeah. It's like, what's your favorite part? Boobies. No. Milk jugs. No. So what was your favorite thing?
It's... Like, I liked a lot of this movie, but I'm just going to go with the special effects were great. Because in a R-rated horror movie with a lot of blood, it didn't look hokey like it could have.
All right. I'm going to go with specifically the first scene where you see Pearl like snapped when that dude was trying to leave in the truck, and all of a sudden she's just standing in the way with like an axe. Remember that?
Not an axe. It was a knife, and she was
Was it
naked.
a knife? Well, I
didn't like.
I didn't care for that, but that was all bad body makeup on top of an attractive woman. That's the problem. They covered up. Not all boobies are necessary to see. And
they showed hers way more.
And when they made them look very old and sagified.
Sagified?
Yes.
Is that what that is?
Yes. Right. Anyway, so my favorite, it was just like when you saw the turn from she's just like a weird old lady to
she's an evil weird old lady.
Yeah, that's going to murder folk.
Has a pet alligator.
All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, what are you rating this?
8.5.
So you're like halfway between those two scores.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it an 8. Not quite as high as you, but still pretty good. Like, I really liked it, and immediately we went and found the movie Pearl because it was already out when we had seen X, because we're like, well, we want to see the prequel.
Oh, yeah. And I'm already stoked to see there's a third one.
Yeah. Which gives a little hint of what we thought of Pearl, but...
Not necessarily. Maybe going backwards was the wrong decision. Going forward is the right decision. Who knows? You'll have to watch next week.
He's so coy. That seems like about it for this week. Anything else you want to say before we do the stuff that's over on the side?
I don't believe so.
All right. Why don't we throw that up?
Yes. So, you can watch this show on Fact TV channel 1076 Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. and Fridays at 7 p.m.
You can like us on Facebook, and like I always say every week, like us, Gory Storytime, and like Fact TV, you know. They live stream a lot of stuff, including this. So if you're watching live, hey. And if you're not, hey anyway, because if you heard me say it, you were watching. So
unless you weren't. You could go to fact8.com and watch a bunch of the back episodes of this, as well as many other pieces of entertainment.
You can check me out on Twitter. I'm at Craig Jakes, all one word, all lowercase.
And you could also check him out on Twitter. I'm at Jiggly Firmbrain.
And he only tweets weird things out of context or in context, depending on what's funnier that I say. Yes. And why don't you just type in Gory Storytime on YouTube, and the two things that should come up is Fact TV's page and my page. And like, subscribe, smash the notification, all those good things. And, comment, whatever. Spread the show. If you actually watch the show and you like it, and you know people that like horror movies.
Share.
Yeah. Would love to give our opinion to more people.
Yeah, heck. To get a hold of a director of a great movie.
Instead of another
turd movie?
Well, literally. All right.
Yeah, Ty West. Tag Ty West in the comments.
That's not going to... I doubt that's going to work. Anyway, so...
until next time, I've been your host, Jason.
I'm his co-host and father, Craig.
And
Sweet dreams.